all of you. So, I am Dr. Shankar Kumar Ghosh, an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Shivnadhan Institution of Eminence. So, today we will discuss very briefly about some salient features of Python programming language, and then we'll see that how and what are the features we, that can be used in doing machine learning related programming using Python. Okay. So naturally the talk has two parts. One is the very basics of Python, discussing the characteristics, different operators which we can use. And the second part is using Python in doing machine learning. Now, so this video is very helpful for those who are beginners in Python and want to apply Python in machine learning, in doing machine learning related programming. And also, it will be a, so as we know that in machine learning, there are a lot of uh, modules which can be implemented using Python. But in this brief video, we don't have enough time to go through all these things. However, I will, at the end of the video, I will give you some links, some references, which you can go through and finally learn. Okay. So let's start. So first, as I discussed that we learn the very basic uh, material and then we'll move to the ML. So this material is mainly created from two books. So so for the very beginners, I would prefer this book by Latest Python by Kanitkar. And if you want to learn something more advanced, greater depth, then you can refer to this book by Martin Brown. And apart from that, you can visit this link. So various materials and various releases of Python, the changes, so so those things are available here. And also, so this is a very useful link where you will find different materials, so different data structure, machine learning algorithms, which is implemented using Python. So as I told you that there are a lot of materials in internet, but here our main goal is to provide a brief introduction. So for those who are absolutely beginners, I would like to inform this information that for installation, if you are using a Windows system, then you go to this link and then download as per the specification of your machine. It may be 32-bit, it may be 64-bit. If you are using a Linux operating system, then you just type this command and then it should be installed. And later on, you can check the version of the Python which is installed in your machine using this. Okay. So the features that we'll briefly go through is, as I told you, that Python has many, it's a variety of libraries. So, and in this short video, we can't cover all of them, but we'll see the very basic features. So these are the features today we'll discuss. So numbers, strings, dictionary, tuple, list, modules, and decision statements. So before starting, let me inform you that Python is just a specification for language and not like other core languages like C and Java. So like Python has many implementations. So some of them I have listed like C Python, which is implemented in C. So Jython, which is implemented using Java, and all the implementations are both both compilers and interpreters. So the compiler converts the Python program into intermediate bytecode, and the bytecode is then interpreted by the interpreter itself. So what is Python good for? So many people can ask this question that as we have seen the C, the Java and all these things. So why Python is required? So the first and foremost answer is ease of programming. So the on-the-shelf modules, so the existing libraries, which you can easily access, So basically the library. So the complexity of programming is reduced a lot. And basically it is a lot of library calls, okay, using the existing operators. So the operators are mathematical operations are there. So there are some standard libraries. So it's using mathematical operations, then text processing, rapid application development, cross-platform development, etc. And then system utilities, internet programming, and database programming. So and these are this list is not exhaustive. In fact, there are other applications also. Important packages which is being used in Python is NumPy. So it is used for advanced mathematical operation library with support for multidimensional arrays and matrices. Then SciPy for scientific computing such as optimization, interpolation, integration, etc. Pandas, so manipulating numerical tables, time series, etc. Then matplotlib, so for used for 2D and 3D data visualization, and then OpenCV, open source computer vision library. So we have to understand that a Python program runs on Python virtual machine. So what it is basically a piece of software which emulates a physical computer. So that means, so program written in Python are converted into bytecode instructions by Python compiler, and then those bytecode instructions remain same irrespective of the platform. So that means, so those who are using C, you might have seen that, let's say a program is written in Windows. If you try to execute the same program in Ubuntu, Linux, might not run. It may not run. So basically, platform dependence is the main thing. In case of Python, this platform independence is there. So which enhances the collaborative development of different softwares, different modules, etc. The very first program that you can run is, so in my slide, a very exhaustive, so the how to write the program exhaustively, all these things are presented, and in future I will make this slide public also. You can access that also. So first is you just open the command prompt, write hello world, and then exit. You'll see. So otherwise from the Windows command prompt also you can run, and otherwise you can write your program in a file, then save it as, let's say, first proc.python, and then you write these comments, so your program will be done. So I request all of you to go through those steps are in the book by Kanitkar. You can go through that in the first and second chapter. So how to write a basic Python program, how to execute, so all these details you will find. So now let's start discussing about some modules and features of Python. So Python operates on objects, statements, and models. And the built-in objects which Python has is, as I told you, that it is number, string, list, dictionary, tuple, and file. So I have listed one example from each and every objects, like, so we know how integer and float looks like. So those things goes under number. Then string is basically set up the sequence of a character. Then it is list. So this list is little different from the list that we know when we do the C programming. So basically it can contain heterogeneous elements also. So dictionary. So dictionary is basically to store some one-to-one mapping, and tuple is very similar to list, but the thing is you can modify list in runtime, but you cannot modify tuple in run. Okay, so the thing is, so tuple is very similar to the const. So those who know the C programming language, there is a feature, namely const, C-O-N-S-T, const. So it is very similar to const. So the integer operations, there very much similar with other programming languages, but there are some differences in Python. So for example, in C, if you write 3 by 4, it will produce 0, but in Python, it will be a floating point division. In modulo operator is also there in Python, and then float division operator is also there. This is new in Python, which is not in C. So largest float division operator is the largest integer, which is less than or equal to the quotient. And then the exponent. So this is how we write the exponent. So it means 3 power 4. Here are some very simple examples you will find in the book also. So I suggest you to go through the book. So in Python, multiple statements in a line should be separated by comma, and they can be written in one single line also. As long as it is separated by comma, it doesn't create any problem. Now, when you want to print, so basically you have to list up the objects. So whether it is number, if it is string, whatever it may be, just list up and then use the print comment. So use of float. So if you write, so this is a very important difference with C programming language, that I and J both are floating point number. So in C programming language, if you write I modulo J, it will throw an error because these are float numbers. But in Python, it will work and it will give you the result. Okay. So these are the flexibilities which come with Python. And Python also introduces another data type, which is bool. So that means the Boolean. And also it has a provision to represent the complex numbers. So for example, let's say here two complex numbers A and B are there. And if you want to print those complex numbers, you can write print A, print B, so it will print. So, and also it is possible to obtain a real and imaginary part. So for example, if you write print A dot real, it will print the real part. If you write print A dot image, it will print the imaginary part also. If you write A dot conjugate, then basically it will, so the complex number is A, so conjugate is 1 minus 2j, it will print 1 minus 2j. The use of Boolean. So let's say, so Boolean means the variable can take only two values, true and false. So if you just write x equal to true, then print x, it should be x, it will print true. Okay. Now let's say if you write some condition, if the condition is true, then it will print true, otherwise it will print false. Here are some examples from my terminal, which and I run this program and they got the output. So here are some of the examples. So all these programs you will find in the almost all the programs you will find in the book of Kanitkar. So I request you to go through that book and do all these examples of your own. Then let's come to the discussion of built-in mathematical functions. So like ABS, it represents the absolute value. Power, it represents the power. And likewise, there are other functions also. So mean, max, okay, so mean, and for octal and hexadecimal numbers also, for rounding also. So I recommend that you explore yourself to build up your programming skill. So now, so there are different functions which can be used in math module from the math module. So in that case, first you have to import the math, and then, for example, you can access the number pi, you can perform the square root, and likewise you can do the factorial, compute the factorial, the logarithm, the exponential function, the floor, scaling, and all. So I request you that you run the program, use all these functions, and all the necessary links are given at the end of this video. So so do do that of your own, so then you will understand how it is. Now, Python, let us discuss about that how random numbers are handled in Python. So first of all, random numbers are uh, all the random number libraries are stored in the random uh, the, 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 the random module. So first you have to import that, okay? And we know that when you are creating random numbers, you have to specify a seed, right? So that seed, if you just specify one seed, then every time it will keep on generating the same random sequences. So therefore, it is advisable that you take the time as seed. So every time you run the program, you will get some new. So let's try it. Now, Python has a type function also. So what is the goal of type function? So it actually tells you that what kind of data type you are handling. So for example, here I have listed 4, 5 objects. So basically one is the complex number, one is string, another one is list. So the type function actually determines the type of the data. Okay? So for example, if you write, so this is a list, right? So now if you write type and then inside that particular object, it will tell you the particular data, a particular data type. So for example, for this type, it will print list. For this, it will print string. For this, it will print the complex number, etc. So next comes the string. Uh, Here are some examples how strings are represented in Python. So it is basically sequence of some characters. So for example, if you write message 2 and then, sorry, if you write message 1 equal to something, then print message 1. So you will get that message. If you write like this and then you print message 2, then I request you to check what you get. So here are some examples. Okay. So to introduce the new line or to continue. So for let's say if it is a long line, then you can use some of the delimiters to specify that basically you are representing the entire information in one line, or and also there is another operator which is R. So actually it represents that how to concatenate two strings. Okay. So that means you are concatenating in the file two, basically you are concatenating the string which is stored in file. So string concatenation, it is a very important aspect in Python programming language. So this can be done using classes. For example, if you write MSG equal to Utopia, MSG8 equal to today, then MSG7 plus MSG8, you store that and then you print MSG7, you will see that Utopia today. So this will be printed. So use of building functions. So there are different building functions which you can use like length, then minimum, maximum, etc. So I always recommend that you uh, explore these functions in order to understand how that works. So the len function returns the number of characters presented in the string. Min and max return the character with minimum and maximum unique value from the string. So here are the output of the program that I ran, and as I told you that the best way to learn a programming language is to write program in that language. Okay. So here I am just giving you an overview and all the necessary materials. So you are requested to do hands-on practice in order to master yours. Yeah. So now let's come to the discussion of string indexing. So the indexing in Python is a little bit different from indexing in C. So in C, we know that only the forward indexing is there. That means it starts from 0 and then till end, right? But in Python, the backward indexing is also there, starting from -1. For example, in this string, I returned a bag of groceries. So the first character, it is 0. Then the space, it is 1. R is second position. E is in third position. T is in fourth position. S is in 28th position. This is for forward. Backward, S is in -1 and G is in, so likewise -1, -2, and G is in -9th position. So therefore, it provides more flexibility of addressing and handling. So big amount of data, characters, and particularly text processing. So for example, if you write string start end, so basically you are telling the starting position, ending position, and you are printing that particular portion of the string. So the returned string contains all of the characters starting from start up until not including the end. So it is not including the end. Please be careful. So if you write 0, 5, so basically it will be printing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, not 5. So the end is only, so the only end is specified. The slice starts from 0 up to, but not including end. Yes, I already told. For example, for the string that I have discussed about, I returned a bag of groceries. So if you write string 0, it is the 0th character, right? First. If you write 2 to 10, then basically 0. So this gap is the second. So then third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10. So maybe this, only this word will be printed. If it is -1, last character. If it is 13, so that means it will start from 13th character till end. If it is -9, then end. So that means it will start from -9 till end. So if we write, so see, notice one thing, that if the end is not specified, means it will go till end. If the starting is not specified, means it will start from the beginning. So here are some examples that I explored. So please go through. Okay, so reading a file. So how to read a file? So for example, if let's say you have written something in a text file and you want to open it, you use this open command, and then for line in input dot read lines, then print line, and then you close. So this is how we read the file in Python. Okay, so let's take 1 minute break, and then again I will start. Yeah, so let's come back to the discussion. So now we'll discuss about the array feature of Python. Okay, so array means it is basically collection of homogeneous elements, right? So when this is how you define an array. So the first argument is basically the type of the array. So it may be the integer, it may be float, it may be some other thing. And the first and the second one, it actually defines the array. So for example, here you are saying to the compiler that I'm going to define an integer array, and this is the integer array I am talking. So this is how we printed the array. Now, let's say, so there are a variety of operations which you can use to insert new elements there or delete some elements. So for example, there is one method insert. So if you write insert 160, so that means you want to insert the element 60 in the first position of the array. So this is the 0th position of the array. This first position. So that means the resulting array will become 10, then 60, then 20, 30, 40, 50. This is how the array looks like, right? Now, from if let's say you want to remove something, so you inserted one element, right? So now you put an hash. Hash means, so that means you are not doing that. So So basically, commenting. So you do not want to compile that particular statement. So now you write array1 dot remove 40. So the element 40 will be removed. And then you print, you'll see 40 is gone. And then now see, there is one element, one function, which is index. So if you write array1 dot index 40, it tells you the index of the array. Okay. So for example, so see if it is 40, so 10 is the 0th, then 20 is the first, second, then third. Okay. So the index will be 3. Now there are other ways to update also. So for example, if you write this statement, so basically you want to replace the second element of the array using 8. So now you see, second means this is the 0th element, this is first, this is second. So this second element is replaced. Second element is replaced by 8. So this was all about the 1D array. Now let's talk about 2D array. So 2D array is nothing but you can think that it is a collection of 1D array, right? So accordingly, you can define it like that. So see, so this is how a 2D array looks like. So it is a collection of 1D array. So this is the first array. So indexed with 0. So this is, you should say that it is a 0th array. This is the first array. This is the second array. This is the third. Okay. And inside that array, there are multiple elements. Now the question is how to access. So see, if you just apply your common sense, you will be able to understand. If you write T0, so that means, so when you write Tij, basically the first element is to specify the particular one-dimensional array. The second is the element in that one-dimensional. If you just write T0, that means you want to print the entire 0th array. So 0th array is the first, this one. Okay. If you write T12, that means you want to print the second element of the first array. Second element means, so this is the first array, right? So second element, it starts from 0, 1, 2. Now, let's say this is the second 2D array you have. If you want to print different arrays in different lines, then what to do? So you just write like this and just write end equal to some delimiter. Then basically each and every one-dimensional array will be printed in different lines. So insertion, updation, and deletion is very similar to the 1D array. If you write T dot insert this one, that means you want to insert this array in the second position. Now updation. So if you write T2 equal to something, that means you want to replace the second array using 11. If you write T03, that means you want to replace the third element, the 0th array. As finally you delete. If you write del T3, that means you want to delete the third element. So this is the program that I wrote and executed. So you will find similar program in the book of Kanitkar. So please write the program, see the output. Okay, so now let's discuss one new feature which is there in Python. So basically it is also known as containers. So containers are nothing but it actually contains multiple data items like list, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. So list can grow and shrink during execution of the program. Hence, lists are used to handle variable length of data. So here you can see two examples of list. And one more thing is list can contain multiple types of data also, like both integer and some character. So in the list, duplicates are allowed, which is not allowed in array usually. If you write 10 star 5, it actually stores things. So there's a lot of flexibility in writing in defining the data set, right? If you just write this, so basically empty list is created and it is valid. Now, if you want to access the elements, if you just write the name of the list, so then the entire list will be printed. If you want to access the list any element by element, that is also allowed. So it also says that length function, it defines the length of the list. So here you have defined a list, then you started the execution from 0 element, then you, so during the while loop, you are doing these things and each and every element is printed. Okay. Some of the list operations are enlisted here. So one of the most important thing is mutability. So during when you are running the program, then basically you can mutate or you can change the list partial. So for example, if this is the, for example, this is the list. If you write animal 2 equal to rhinoceros, so then basically the second element will be replaced by rhinoceros. If you write print animals, then the entire list will be printed. If you write ages 5 equal to 31, then basically the fifth element. So that means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 28 will be replaced by 31. And so on. So the rest of the operations is very similar to what we have already discussed. So you can concatenate to list also just using plus. So again, what I recommend that you write those programs, then only you will understand how. So then list aliasing. So on assigning one list to another, both refer to the same list. Changing one changes the other. This assignment is known as shadow copy or aliasing. So for example, here there are first we have defined list one, then we assigned list one to list two. Then we print both of them. We see that both of them are printing the same. Then if you change one list, you will see the other one is also changed. Okay. So therefore, those who are very familiar with pointers and would like to question that why pointer is not here, what are the features which actually replaces pointer? This is a good example which is incorporated in Python. So there is another operator which is in membership operator. So that means you define one list and then you use the in operator. So this, so and this membership operator is actually tells you that whether a particular member or particular element is present inside a list or not. So for example, this is a list. If you write a in lst and then print the Boolean variable, it will print true. Why? Because that element is inside the list. Similarly, the next one. So there are a variety of list methods. So it may be it is append to append an element, to remove element, okay? And to count elements, to print the index of the elements. A variety of methods are there. So some of them I have listed. The exhaustive list can be found in book and other documents. So there are methods to sort and reverse lists also. So if you just reverse, write like the list dot reverse and print, you will see the list is reversed. If you write sort, it is sort. You can nest the list also. Okay? So that means multiple lists. So you can group some one-dimensional list into another list, become two-dimensional list, and so on. And practically there is no limit on the nesting. Here are some practice problems that you can practice. Then another very important thing is the console input output. So that means generating, if you write that prompt, you want to display something on the screen, for example, the prompt, then you can use the input function. So then basically The input function will print the word prompt and soliciting a value from you from the terminal. So for example, if you write s equal to input, enter your name, then and then print s, and then you can write the first name, last name, middle name, etc. is input this. So basically, the split function will split the entire full name with space delimited, okay, and it will assign to the specific portion. Okay. So the input function is quite sophisticated in case of Python. So here are the different examples of input function. So now, so the various programs are there. So now let us come to the discussion of tuple. So tuple is very much similar to list, but tuple is not mutable as you have seen in the case of list. So for example, let me show you the example that if you write MSG equal to this is your message. If you try to modify, for example, the 0th element, then it will actually throw an error. If you want to modify element 1, 2, 3, it will not allow you to do that because this is how it is different from list. So there are different tuple variants, there are embedded tuples. So if you are interested, I would say that you go through the book. So this was our introduction, very brief introduction to Python programming language. And now, next, we will move to the discussion on it. Okay. So in order to do, so we know that in machine learning techniques, so there are three kinds of techniques are there. So supervised, unsupervised, deep, and reinforcement learning. And also nowadays people are using a lot the deep models. So in this short video, I could not uh, introduce all the modules, but I have used some of them which are quite commonly used. So one is the deep supervised learning models. So the supported models are DNN, RNN, and CNN. So the associated libraries are TensorFlow, Keras, and PyTorch also. So this is a very small code snippet using TensorFlow. So here the key steps to develop a machine learning, develop a Python program in order to do is machine learning is first identify the library which you want to use, then data pipelining, and then comes the exact model you want to use, and then specify the number of hidden layers and output layers, and then you write the training as it is listed in the program. Okay. So here I have specified one link. I've specified one link, so you can go through this link. So pytorch.org.tutorials, and many such programs are there. The second one is how to use CNN. The same thing here also there is a code snippet. So here also first you have to specify the library use, then data preparation, then CNN architecture. Okay, so and then the training setup and training. The code snippet is attached here, and more can be found in this pytorch.org. So the optimizers that the Python programming language use while doing ML programming is this one. So first one is SGD, then Adam optimizer, then RMS probe, and then Adam. And it also facilitates using reinforcement. So for example, if we want to use Q-learning, the libraries which are available are OpenAI, Gym, and Stable Baseline 3, etc. So stochastic, multi-unbanded, if you want to use, so libraries are also available. So if you are very much interested about reinforcement learning, then I would say that you go through these documents. So first one is the state-of-the-art textbook for reinforcement learning, and rest one are for machine learning. So here is one example of multi-arm bandit. So here we know that in multi-arm bandit, so there is a balance. We have to fix a balance between exploration and exploitation. So epsilon greedy. So here these are the key points we have to specify. One is the epsilon greedy, the parameters, okay, the fit function, predict function, and partial fit. For Q learning also, this is a code snippet which you can use to do. So here you have to actually define the environment, then the epsilon greedy policy, then Q table update, and then state transition and termination check. So similarly, deep Q learning. So here also, these are the key points. So we can use these functions, MLP policy, then buffer to replay buffer size, specify the replay buffer size, then learn, then predict. This is the code snippet. So if you are using these machine learning models, then dimensionality reduction, then basically you can use sklearn.decomposition. So for clustering, you can use sklearn.cluster. For dimensionality reduction, you can use sklearn.decomposition. For k-means clustering, so basically the key points are initialization, fitting, then cluster assignments, then symptoms. Okay. So all the thing is you first understand the machine learning technique and then go through these steps. The writing code is very much easy. Then comes the principal component analysis. So here the key points are to define the 2D matrices, initializing PCA and down to 2 dimensions and all. And then the variance ratio. Okay. And this is the code snippet which you can run. So these are the very basic and brief introduction of how you can use the Python libraries to do machine learning programming. But at the last of the video, I would say that this is not sufficient to learn all these things. You will learn when you actually write the program, use this code snippet in your terminal and see how these things works. Okay.